Hey y'all, it's Robin here, your financial hype girl. All right, it's a new year and future you is already calling, and she's not mad yet, but she's definitely side-eyeing you for not checking in on your money situation. I mean, I get it, life is busy. Spreadsheets are boring to most people, and later feels like a great plan. But here's the thing, later always turns into never. The good news is a quick check in these 7 areas can save you stress, it can set you up for success, and most importantly, make future you your biggest fan. So let's get into it. First up is savings. If you haven't looked at how much you're saving or even started saving, it's time. Now, don't worry, this doesn't have to take long. You can do it in about 30 minutes while sipping coffee or wine or a margarita or whatever. So, open your accounts. Yes, I know it's scary and I know you'd rather avoid it, but you've got to know where you stand to figure out where you're going. So, look at it and then bump it up. Even 1 to 2% of your paycheck can make a huge difference. And this isn't about being perfect, it's about making progress. Automate it because let's be real, if you have to remember to move money yourself, it's just not happening. So I had a client named Jess who thought her $200 a month saving habit was like solid. But when we looked at her goals, which were retirement, buying a house, a trip to Italy, 200 wasn't even close. So we bumped her up her savings, we automated it, and mapped out her timeline. It took less than an hour, and Jess had finally felt like she had a plan instead of just wishful thinking. That's what savings should feel like: hopeful, not stressful. So, next, let's talk about the B word. No, not your friend who did the thing. Talk about budgeting. And yeah, budgeting gets a bad rap, but here's the tea: even rich people budget. Oprah, budget. Beyonce, budget. And no, they're not clipping coupons, but they are making intentional choices with their money. They're not just going willy nilly. So, what I want you to do is track your spending for 2 weeks. Not last year's spending, not last month's, just the 2 weeks that are happening right now. And focus on what you actually care about, what brings you joy. Maybe it's the coffee dates, or travel, or perhaps like splurging on skincare. And we're gonna go ahead and prioritize things and then leave the other random stuff out. Things that you bought and you were like, where did my money go? Then we're gonna give every single dollar a job with a specific purpose: savings, fun money, future. So I worked with this couple, Sarah and Jason, who were constantly pointing fingers about who was spending all of their money. Not surprisingly, it turns out neither was right, but it was Target and takeout and subscriptions all adding up. So what we did is we used my financial happiness flow system to break their spending into needs, wants, and savings. Then we set up separate fun money accounts for each of them. So there was no more fights, no more guilt, no more finger pointing, just clarity and peace. It took about 2 hours, and they told me it completely changed their relationship with money and each other. So let's get into investments, because this is where people leave money on the table without realizing it all the time. The moral of the story here is check your accounts. Is your money actually invested? So one of my clients, Rachel, transferred her old 401k into her new employer's plan 2 years ago. But when we looked at it, the entire transfer was still sitting in cash. 2 years in cash. And you know what the markets have been doing. I felt so bad for her. So review your portfolio. Is it aligned with your current goals? Rachel was stuck in some sort of generic automatic fund that wasn't doing her favors, and it was really expensive. So we created a fresh portfolio that matched her life today, not the default settings from years ago. So to take full advantage of what was available, we set up this portfolio, and then we looked at what she was contributing. Rachel wasn't even maxing out her employer's match, so we fixed that too. This whole process took maybe about 2 hours, and Rachel went from feeling embarrassed to empowered. She told me for the first time she felt like her money was actually working for her. And honestly, that's the energy we're bringing into investments this year. Let's talk about employee benefits. They're kind of like a treasure chest nobody opens. Most people don't even know what's available to them, and they're leaving money and opportunities behind. So read your benefits package, please. Yeah, it's kind of boring, but it's also where the free money lives. So I had this client, Alex. She had no idea her employer offered an HSA match, like $1,200, free money, just sitting there. So check that out. Also check your insurance. So Alex's partner Jordan had been paying for like this super expensive whole life insurance policy that their former insurance financial advisor sold her. So we switched her to her employer's plan. She got a better policy and saved thousands a year, all for free. So also look for the extras. So Alex's employer had a legal benefit that paid for their estate planning. They set up their guardianship paperwork for their child, which gave them a huge peace of mind, especially in today's political climate. This whole process maybe took 2 hours, and then Alex and Jordan told me that they finally felt secure, both like financially and emotionally, because that's stressful. Don't sleep on these benefits, folks. Speaking of emotional stuff, debt is emotional. So I had this client, Jen, who came to me after her divorce with like this mountain of debt. She had been playing the whole entire game of musical chairs, like moving it from one balance transfer and then moving it to a personal loan and chasing those 0% interest periods. And then she was running out of options. She had used them all. So the stress was real. So what I suggest is write it all down. Every balance, interest rate, and due date. Seeing it all laid out gave her clarity. And then we chose a strategy. So we used a combo of the snowball and the avalanche methods, knocking out both the small, high-interest debts first for quick wins, and then tackling the big ones to save money long-term. And then we set some milestones to celebrate along the way, because this hard work deserved to be celebrated. Then Jen called me to say that she had improved her debt-to-income ratio enough to buy a new home for her new family, and I almost cried with her. I mean, I get emotional. So debt management isn't just about the numbers, it's about reclaiming your life and your future. Make sure you're going and checking what you're working with in all of your credit cards and personal loans and even your mortgages and car payments. There's a way to make them better. So taxes aren't fun, but they don't have to be overwhelming. So let's take a minute and talk about what we can do with that. First, review your past returns. So one of my clients, Amanda, had always used TurboTax. But as her life got busier and her finances got more complex, she felt like she was missing things. And guess what? She totally was. So first, want to create a plan. So I went and spotted some missed deductions and forms that hadn't been filed in her last 2 years of returns. And then we put some strategies into place for the upcoming year to make sure nothing was left behind again. We went ahead and streamlined everything. And then after Amanda chose a new CPA, I organized all her documents, wrote a letter outlining the strategies we'd implemented, and included a checklist of forms her CPA needed to file. This ensured that he didn't miss anything, which often happens. It took about 2 hours. I know everything's taken 2 hours, but Amanda said it was the first time she didn't feel stressed during tax season, just by planning ahead, saving some time, money, and her sanity. Let's wrap this up with emergency funds, because this is the foundation of everything. So, personal story, during Hurricane Milton, my family and I had to evacuate. But instead of scrambling to find a dingy motel off the highway because everywhere was full, we booked 2 beautiful, dog-friendly suites in a wonderful area, and we actually enjoyed ourselves because we weren't panicking about how it would affect our bills, even though my husband was missing work and obviously I wasn't having client meetings. So, start small. Even $500 can make a difference. And automate it. Set up a monthly transfer to separate accounts so it grows without you even thinking about it. Celebrate progress. Saving $1,000, $5,000, or $10,000 is a big deal, and it deserves a moment of recognition. So having an emergency fund isn't just practical. It really does give you peace of mind, and it gives you options when life throws you that curveball, so you don't have to just take what life gives you. So there you have it. Those are 7 things to check and update to start this year strong. These steps aren't just about money. They're about creating a life you love with less stress and more joy. Through my financial happiness method, I help clients simplify, prioritize, and make a plan that works for their life. If this sounds like what you need, DM me to get started on your financial happiness map. Future you is waiting, and she's ready for seafood dinners, wine nights, and amazing vacations, not regrets, because nobody dreams of eating cat food.